Ep11, welcome to the show. It's the Protagonist show. I'm Dan Vaughn, and this guy,
Shooter McGavin.
It's Shooter McGavin. That's who it is. Shooter McGavin. I heard you eat pieces of crap for breakfast. Anyway, very, very topical, Joshua Duder.
Love it.
Yep, absolutely. Well, welcome to the show. It's the Protagonist show. We talk about all things in the soccer world, whether they be lower league or not. We're here to talk about them, and we have a host of topics that are, well, there's some lower league, why not? But there's some that aren't. But the big news in the American soccer scene this week was the MLS All-Star Game, I guess. Josh, I gotta start this off with, we don't like All-Star games, do we? How do you feel about All-Star games?
It's a great question. I think that's sort of where I think some of my line of conversation would end with the question, do we even need it?
Do we care?
Do we care? See, here's the thing, Dan, and I know your origins as a podcaster started with Major League Soccer. Is that correct?
A long time ago, yes.
And mine did as well. I covered T2 and nominally Timbers. Mm-hmm. And so a part of my soul is invested with the team that's literally in my backyard.
Yeah.
I just don't like their league structure. That having been said, an all-star game is a very American convention. It's something that we're used to in our football, our American gridiron hand egg game that we call football, baseball, hockey. Why not soccer? And for 30 years, it fit. It did. I think that it was an important part of the landscape for Major League Soccer for 3 decades. It brought exciting teams. I went to San Jose and watched Arsenal play against the All-Star team and got to watch a couple of players from the team that I liked. Now I'm on the countdown to get rid of me, huh? Do we need Do we need an All-Star game? I don't think we need it anymore. I think we've outgrown it as a country. And does Major League Soccer need the cash grab? I don't know. Do they?
Sorry for that technical issue. Yeah, I think that, I can say I'm a big let me find the badge. Manchester United supporter. Yeah. And I did go to an MLS All-Star game in Houston when they played Manchester United. It was exciting, but not because of any of the MLS players, because I was there to see Manchester United play. I get that. If it matters to anyone, the MLS All-Stars beat Mexico All-Stars 3-1.
Is that a couple years in a row that they
I guess them?
I don't know.
Who cares, right? But I think the most interesting part is that the buzz coming out of the All-Star game is less about the All-Star game and more about the fact that the star of MLS, and has been now for 2 seasons, or is it 3 seasons? Is it 3 seasons?
Two and a half?
2.5?
So meet
Lionel Messi decided to make himself a healthy scratch and skip the All-Star game, and MLS in response said, well, then you're going to sit out your next game. That's the rule.
Right.
I've seen quotes from Lionel Messi's coach saying that he felt like that application was draconian, which I think is funny, to be honest with you, because I think that it's draconian because it applies to Messi and he doesn't like that.
Right.
Messi's the big ticket in MLS right now. He honestly, any league that he would be in outside of maybe a couple, he would be the big. You'd plop this guy into the Eredivisie and put him on Ajax, and the stadiums would fill up for that.
Yeah.
You put him in any of the non-top 2 or 3 leagues. Lionel Messi would be the biggest draw, and it is interesting that MLS decided to put their foot down. Almost, you could obviously make an exception. You could have told Inter Miami to say that he was injured, right? Like, you can cover this if you want to, but instead they didn't, and instead they punish him. I guess from your perspective, 1, should they have punished him, and 2, could this potentially backfire for MLS?
It's a great couple of questions. One of the things that we haven't mentioned here is that Jordi Alba also missed the game without prior permission.
And he was suspended as well.
And I think what that does is I think that if it were just Messi, he could have avoided suspension, because listen, are we wrong for holding a grudge that Messi is even in Major League Soccer? Should we sit back and actually just enjoy that one of the greatest players of our lifetime, Dan Vaughn, whether he played on a team we like or not, is actually playing in Estados Unidos and playing soccer here.
Yeah.
What a joy it would be if it were for any other team than Inter Miami. I think part of it is just the way that it happened, the team that he's on, the way they've broken all the rules to get him. So, but all that having been said, of course, if it were just Messi, he would have been above the law. But because Jordi Alba was also involved, they couldn't suspend one and not suspend the other. That would have been unfair and poorly reflected on the league.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, and also listen, Messi has played 9 games in 30 days, and all 90 of all of those games, according to ESPN, does he actually just deserve a day off? He plays all these meaningful games of soccer for his team. Shouldn't he just get a day off? And the answer is yes, but he probably should have asked ahead of time.
I wonder how much do we blame Inter Miami for overplaying their biggest horse? You can play a guy 45 minutes and sub him out at half and still get the hype train. I guess it feels like the league made all this investment in getting him there. It feels like the league should have some kind of say in how they manage his minutes, particularly because of how the league is structured. This is MLS's investment. Yes, Inter Miami is investing it, but this is MLS investment, and it feels weird that he's the cash cow now, right? Like he's the reason why. He's the Caitlin Clark, right? Like he's the people are coming to see. Like they want to see him play. There apparently are rumors that this has poisoned Messi's relationship with MLS, and he is now considering a $200 million deal from Saudi Arabia. $200 million a year.
Look, that's legacy changing for generations of his family. He should take it. I don't care.
I mean, at this point, who cares? Like, what do you care?
Yeah.
I mean,
I know that this is not an MLS podcast, actually, far from it usually, but the word it's the T. Is that it? I don't know if I've got the expression right. I'm an old man. Sonny from Tottenham is set to have conversations with LAFC for a transfer in, and to be quite honest with you, I think Messi is a far more impactful player globally than Son is. But Son is a fantastic player, and I think people underestimate the Korean culture and impact that Son would have in Los Angeles. He would be massive, and I think actually might do more to improve MLS's standings globally than Messi ever did. Now, Messi sold a lot of shirts, but I think Sonny is culturally, I think he's a person that you can fall in love with, and I don't think he's going to be quite the heel that Messi ended up being for everybody else in the league.
Wow. So I'm going to kind of push back a little bit and say that I don't think that Messi is a heel like by anything he's done. Like it is not his fault that all of these things happened to get him into this position, like where he was. I think that like people hate him because they see him as now the primary focus of a league. And if you're an insider and already had a team, you don't like that because it's not your team. It's not your player. Yeah, and like, to me, Messi is the size of his influence is so large. He's the Jupiter of the galaxy of soccer right now. And it is, I will say, that is, yes, part of that is reputation, because at 38, he's not what he was at 31, but he's still a great player. He's proven that repeatedly. And I think, I love Son, by the way. He's fantastic. He is.
I want him on my team. Any team that I like, I want him there. He's a charming person, isn't he?
He is just every time I see that guy, I'm just blown away by his calm, his demeanor, but also his ability to connect with people. He's a fantastic person. But I don't think Messi has done a terrible job at that in MLS as well. I think he has certainly brought MLS to the forefront of a lot of conversations about soccer that MLS wouldn't have. I think measuring Messi's impact long-term is much more complicated, and we don't really know what that is just yet because we need time. MLS is a league trying to get its feet under itself globally, but there are leagues that are trying to get their feet under themselves, maybe in a smaller way, huh?
Yeah. Want to talk about one of those leagues? Want to talk about one of those? It's like the third time's a charm, right? So let's talk about NISA 3.0. I've listen, I don't know very much about even the first attempt, let alone I didn't know there was a 2.0, to be quite honest with you.
The NISA that you know is 2.0. That's the NISA you know.
Okay.
NISA 1.0 was under Peter Wilt.
Okay, so here's the NISA that I know, and I want to go back in time, Dan Vaughn, to the initial launch of what I thought was the initial launch of NISA, and what got us excited, and why folks tuned in to what the independent league was trying to do. And I go back to maybe when NASL took a hiatus, and now what looks like maybe an ultimate failure, just due to legal issues, right? So we don't have to get into that. But NISA looked like sort of they were going to pick up the guidon and run with the flag for the good of the independent clubs. And you had teams like Detroit City, who had joined over from NPSL, right? Am I correct in that timing? And Oakland Roots, I think they launched in. Did they launch in NPSL Pro and then end up over in NISA?
Yes, they were part of the group along with Chattanooga Football Club and Miami FC. There's several clubs that launched originally into what was going to be NPSL Pro, and then when that fell apart, joined NISA. Yes,
NISA. Okay, so tell us what got people excited initially, and what had them tune in, if you will.
Boy, I'm having PTSD thinking, trying to dig back through my memory. Though no, PTSD is no joke. Obviously, I will say that NISA has always been, that idea, the promise of what an independent soccer organization could be, how it could run, how it could operate, and allow teams and clubs to establish themselves in their own way. If that meant team ownership on the part of fans, if it meant the ability to sign players without the worry of a salary cap, the idea was that clubs would be the operators and the primary drivers of the league. And I think there was a lot of promise in that. We can't pretend that MLS and Next Pro doesn't feel like corporate soccer. And while USL has been very careful to craft an image that is less so, it is also a large corporate entity that at this point encompasses 4 layers of men's soccer and 2 layers of women's soccer. So there's a lot of push within those organizations for a corporatization of soccer. And someone wants to be in control. Someone wants to write the paycheck. Someone wants to make money. And NISA was supposed to be a place where clubs could come and develop themselves and grow independent of all of the sort of things that come around with corporate environment. And that promise was there, and quickly the veneer wore off within hours of the league launching. And it was so grossly mismanaged at times. We had so many situations where disciplinary actions by the league weren't really being leveled evenly. There were rogue owners that were going on and doing lives and giving pizza away to people. Some people might remember that. There were those same owners weren't, according to the league, weren't paying their dues. So there was just a host of problems. And on top of that, like, we had situations where referees weren't being paid by the league. Or let me be clear, the referees claimed that. There was a lot of lack of transparency, and NISA had kind of promised that there was going to be transparency from the front office. So I think all of those things over the course of 2 or 3 years just got to the point. And I can tell you, as someone that deeply covered that league, we were our podcast, Nights Who Say NISA, Joshua Duder knows this, was one of our most popular podcasts. It covered that league. And I think that's a combination of some really good mixing between the hosts, myself, John Howard Fusco, and Dan Creel really did a good job at covering that league in a professional way, but also with a light touch of humor that I think people really enjoyed. So I say all that to say that was the promise, but the reality just never really seemed to deliver beyond just the promise. The promise was said, but there was never any delivering of the promise.
So, I mean, with the return of some familiar names in charge of a relaunch, do you think enough will be different? I mean, sort of like more of the same, or is it enough that will be different that'll bring fans of lower league soccer back into the fold for NISA?
It's a great question. So
Can I follow that up? Because
yeah, go
I'm
ahead.
going to follow up. Does this league actually need fans? Right. And so we've talked about the league as an organization that launches some of these bigger teams that we've seen in lower league soccer, like the Oakland. I mean, it didn't launch Oakland Roots, but largely it gave them their first professional opportunity. Right. Is it a league that is sort of a proving ground or a proof of concept development for clubs and player development? Does it need fans?
Okay, so I'm going to say that, or sort of highlight some of the things that you referenced that people who are not paying attention to NISA might not be aware.
Okay.
They named a new commissioner this week, Chandler Hoffman, who is an ex-LA Galaxy player, also played for LA Force in the league. I think last season he was a player coach for the league. He's got some education in this field, which is weird. Like, I don't know, how do you go to, is there a commissioner school you go to? But that's like sports management, that kind of thing. They also brought, or they've transitioned Matt Morse as the chief executive officer. I know Matt through his work in the Southwest Premier League in Southern California. He's really a mover and a shaker in the Southern California soccer scene. And from all appearances, my interactions with him, he's very professional, knows his stuff. So my question is, how much do those people change the course of where NISA's headed? NISA, I think, my understanding, and I'm going to be transparent, don't cover the league as in depth as I used to, is going to do like a fall, some sort of tournament. That's the plan, as the league sort of recenters. The last year, we had at least 3 clubs that were owned and operated by the league itself. So the level of competition was pretty awful. We had lots of reports of players not getting paid on time and playing in conditions that were, from the player's perspective, less than professional. We had matches canceled all over the schedule because teams either didn't have the funds or were unwilling to spend funds to travel and to, all of the expenses. I know I can think of at least several occasions when a team traveled to find out that the match was canceled once they arrived at the location they were going to play. That all of those things are just as unprofessional as you could get, and if anyone paid attention to NISA, it would be the death knell of it. And I would argue that I'm going to say, one, I've thought about it. I even posted about online about it. One, no, this league does not deserve to be covered until this league does something that warrants coverage. I think that our coverage at times gave them respectability that honestly, they weren't operating at a level to deserve that. We treated them with the same level of respect that we might treat like a USL League One. And that is, you've covered that USL League One. Mm-hmm. That is a professional league that operates. Is it perfect? No, by no means. I'm not saying that, but I am saying like you don't get matches canceled. If they are, they're made up. There is clear management and oversight by the league. The players, at least from what I can tell, are being paid and taken care of as professionals. That's what you should expect from a league that claims to be professional. And NISA has not operated that way and doesn't deserve it. Do they need fans? I will say, and this is my opinion, that if you are a professional club and you are paying your players, you have to have income coming in to pay those players. If you are going to fly those players across the country, if you are going to bus those players to games, if you are going to put them into hotel rooms, if you are going to help a player from out of town come into your market and put them in an apartment. All of those things require money, and the burn rate, at least from what I've heard from several operators, according to them, that if you want to do it professionally, you're going to burn between $1 million and $1.5 million to play in NISA. Is that worth it? If you're an operator, is that worth it to you? I don't see the return there. No one's watching your league. You don't have any there's no path to building club support. There's no way to, aside from, I guess, exiting the league and going somewhere else. There was a time when you had Chattanooga Football Club and Detroit City. Those were clubs that when you went to play there, you got a real fan base. You were dealing with, 4,000 to 8,000 fans, where you would, have eyes on that. People would watch the live streams. That's just not the case anymore. None of those operators exist anymore within this league. Chattanooga is at MLS Next Pro. Detroit City is playing in USL Championship. This is not that league. And no matter what NISA 3.0 is, it has a lot of work to do to even get back to just that, which is, even then, was a league that had plenty of warts and was trying to work through its growing pains.
So we wish them well, but we'll tune in when you've ticked the boxes and we have time. Listen, there's a great amateur league out there, the League for Clubs, that we just haven't spent enough time covering.
Nope.
Do we have the bandwidth? So NISA, put it together. Maybe we'll watch.
That's where I'm at. And best of luck to both Hoffman and Morse. Both of those guys are good guys. I don't have any beef with them. And honestly, I don't even beef with NISA. Just do better. At some level, earn what you want through your actions. That's what you should all be aiming for. But there you go. Speaking of leagues that are about to relaunch, the Super League, the USL Super League, my favorite
already
division.
Are we on the cusp of season 2?
It's
already?
Crazy. We are 3 weeks out from season 2. It has been a very short off season because of that winter break to match the European schedule. Right. It just, the off season isn't what it is in other leagues, and it's been really interesting to watch teams go through their first off season. We've seen massive roster dumps by some of these teams, and then we've seen other teams absolutely reloading and restocking in ways that are going to really shape the table moving forward. Josh, I know you're kind of an outsider on this thing. I don't, at least not maybe to the level that I'm at. What are you looking forward to in season 2?
I will say that I have watched at least one game a week because I have the Peacock on my TV, and I also just love what USL is doing with its W League and with its Super League. So I've really enjoyed season 1. I've got an NWSL team. Again, I'm in the Portland area. I'm about 45 minutes outside of Portland. The owner of the Timbers sold the Thorns away and is no longer, involved. I have every reason to enjoy watching the Portland Thorns do well in their league. However, I often find myself wishing they were in the USL Super League, just because all my friends that I follow on social media have a favorite team in the Super League. So something that I look forward to is expansion, meaningful and thoughtful expansion, in slow and steady, so that these teams can survive and that the teams become the strength of the league, and the league doesn't have to float them. They're just slowly added to markets and communities that can support them. And I really look forward to seeing who is new this season, and hopefully you can fill me in on any of the new teams that I could watch this year.
We do. You have one new team this year coming into the league, Sporting Jacks, Jacksonville. They are coming into the league. They've got
Florida is strong.
They really are, and there's probably going to be more coming, I would imagine. What's great about that is if you can put a team in the backyard of another team, you get 1, rivalries, 2, you reduce those travel costs, which when you're a young league, that's an important thing to do. But yeah, Sporting Jacks coming into the league. And what's fun, I think, they've got plans for a stadium. They're building out. I think there's all kinds of reasons to be excited about these teams. Big offseason moves. The league MVP, Amina Ekic, based out. She is originally from Louisville, Kentucky. She's from Kentucky. She went to school there. She played at Louisville in her college years. Has decided to move to Lexington. And what's crazy about Lexington Sporting Club, they finished dead last. And that is an interesting move. They also added Addie McCain, who was in competition for the Golden Boot, who played for Fort Lauderdale United. Thank you. Speaking of Florida teams, but Addie McCain came to that club as well. So they have really revamped their attack in a new way. Maddie Parsons, who's one of my favorite players, exited Lexington. She's off to so far sights unknown, but she was a fantastic player for them in her first season. But that's going to be interesting. Fort Lauderdale United signed the last year's Australian Women's League, the A-League, signed their MVP. This is big moves. There's a lot going on in this league. There's a lot of questions too about teams. Brooklyn has just hemorrhaged players. I mean, you could look at rosters all over the league and they're filled with Brooklyn's players. And so where does that leave Brooklyn? How do they approach this? Lots of questions, but I'm excited for it. It's been a fun league to cover. I mean, am I excited to have to really dig back into the league? I mean, I have to admit I enjoyed the offseason a little bit as far as
a break.
Yeah, it's nice. So, but you're right. It's right back to it. And it's interesting, that particular aspect of the Super League is something that we don't see as much with the other leagues, obviously, because they're not operating with the same calendars. So we expect long breaks in the offseason. Not the case for the Super League. Anyway, cool.
Good timing.
Great timings. Well, Josh, obviously I'm looking forward to the Super League, but we've got recommendations for viewing this week, and I'm going to kick it off because I am very much looking forward to this Euro final. At the time of recording, the Euro final is tomorrow.
Okay.
And I don't know if you've watched the women's Euros, but it has been an absolute blast to watch these matches with my wife and daughter and really connect and, get to talk about these different players, where they play, and just watch these like juggernauts of women's soccer now, because yes, in the end, the United States is still the best women's soccer program, but there are so many other teams
catching up. The world is catching up.
And two of those giants will face off tomorrow in the European final. And trust me, I'll be watching it. England will be playing Spain. Again, Spain sort of struggled to get to this match. Didn't play as well once they got out of group and went into knockout. England has had similar issues, having trouble finding ways. Finding ways to win, but if you watch that last match England played against Italy, if you're like me, you're absolutely boiling mad about that late call in the 118th minute that gave them a penalty. Spare me Chloe Kelly. I have no use for her and her celebrations. Absolutely classless. Okay, maybe I was a fan. I mean, I was rooting for Italy there. I love an underdog story. And like I said, only the Euros could get me to cheer for Spain. Spain is the second in the world. I very rarely cheer for them, but I'll be rooting for them against England tomorrow afternoon. What are you watching this week?
I am going to be watching the USL League Two national semifinals. On Friday, I got to watch the conference quarterfinals, or the way they rename the competitions. Anyway, it's all winding down, Dan Vaughn. On Friday, Flint City Bucks knocked out lower league sweethearts MPLS City, who I love. And the 2022 USL League Two champs fell to the 2023 champs up in Seattle. So on Sunday, Ballard FC, the host of that game, host Flint City Bucks in what should be a banger of a semifinal up in Seattle. And on the other side of the country, in Burlington, Vermont, Bernie Sanders was watching his Vermont Green knock out Lionsbridge, who are no chumps. That is a good team. Lionsbridge is always in and around the finals. And then Dothan United, which is sort of an upstart team, they beat Fort Lauderdale United FC. Yes, that's the men's and amateur team that's part of that great women's program they have there. So Dothan United advanced to the national semifinal against Vermont Green. Anything can happen, Dan Vaughn, but a Vermont Green versus Ballard FC clash of kits culture and marketing know-how would be so brilliant for this league. I'll support whoever gets to it. But I listen, if the final ends up in Seattle, I'm going.
Well, I was also both those clubs are friends of the show.
Well,
they've got people in the front office that we have talked to many times for stories, and shout out. Cool. Joshua Duder, I know that I put you on the clock earlier, but are you ready to go on the clock again for an off topic?
Yes, I'll try to keep it under the clock this time.
I believe in you. I know you can do it. Do it.
Is Matt Turner a European number one? Olympique Lyon had previously agreed an $8 million transfer fee to move him from Forest, where he wasn't playing, but now Lyon don't want him either. Do U.S. players suffer from delusions of grandeur, or have we taken a step back as a nation of goalkeeper developers? Turner needs to come to the U.S. and sign for an MLS team, or dare I say, USL Championship team, who will start him with only a year left before the World Cup starts. Right here.
Truth, Joshua Duder. Truth. I agree with you. I feel bad for Matt Turner. I think he is in not a great position. That's what I'll say.
Yeah.
He's got issues. I don't know. I kind of suspect that things are not going to work out well.
Just come home. Come home, Matt.
All right. Well, speaking of coming home, if we talked about NISA, we mentioned Detroit City, and this week Detroit City was in the news as former manager, head coach Trevor James exited the front office. He had transitioned there last season, and he is leaving the club. I think this is the end of an era. He gave them a sense of respectability, of purpose during their transition to professional. He is a god to those fans, and farewell to Trevor. Best of luck to him in all his future endeavors. A great man and a great servant of the game.
It's, you know what, that club is exciting. Everything they do seems to be just super fun. And he was at the forefront of, I know he wasn't there from day one, but they wouldn't be where they are now if not for him.
Legend. Oh yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Shepherd them through the changes to pro. And it was amazing. So many people had questions. I know that clearly my 30-second topic went much longer than 30 seconds.
So 5 seconds. Whatever.
Okay. But I will say that their transition to USL Championship and instantly being a playoff caliber team was something that so few people thought was possible. Absolutely. Well, Joshua Duder, that's it for this episode of the Protagonist Show. Sounds like your dogs are ready for you to exit.
Absolutely. The kids are coming home. The wife is coming home. We're right on time.
Over. There you go. Well, that's it for this episode of the Protagonist Show. Have a good one. We'll see you soon with next week's show.